Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you are new, my name is Leanne and thanks for stopping by my channel. I hope that you like what you see. Today I've got some easy and budget-friendly DIYs to share with you. We're gonna get started with the first one now, but real quick, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new and you like what you see, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. And now let's get started. All right, so this first DIY, I'm really just kind of making over a picture frame I already have. It has pictures of a family in it, and I wanted to put it with some other picture frames that I have also previously DIY'd, and I just needed it to match it. So I was doing this, and I figured I would share it with you. I am putting a coat of Mod Podge. I don't always do this, but people always say that it helps paint stick to certain surfaces better. So that's what I'm doing. I happen to be using the dishwasher Mod Podge because I was using it for some of the other projects in this video and it was out, so that's just what I'm using. So I'm just going to give that a coat. One thing with Mod Podge is it's kind of hard to speed up the dry time. I do use my hair dryer even on a low setting, like on the cool setting, for a lot of things, but you have to be careful because Mod Podge really just gets tacky once it is warm. So I didn't do that, just let it dry. And I'm just giving it a couple coats. I'm using acrylic paint, just like Apple Barrel, I think in Snow White. You'll see later in the video, I had pulled out my chalk paint and it's time to be replaced. It's just about gone, and so I just pulled out my acrylic paint. So this did take a couple of coats, but if you were to use chalk paint, you probably wouldn't need a couple coats. But this is a great thing to do with frames you've already had, frames that you picked up at a thrift store or even the Dollar Tree or whatever, rummage sales. Just paint them to go with your decor. So we're going to paint it white and then let that fully dry. Once that is fully dry, I'm going in with Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant, and I'm trying to do a dry brush. A couple spots I hit the brush at another area that had a little bit more paint, so it went a little bit heavy, but it really worked out fine in the end. But I just wanted to bring out the texture that was on the frame, and I didn't want it to just be a plain flat paint color. You could also use like antique wax, which I thought about, but the gray just kind of made more sense for where I was using it. So I'm just using a light hand, and I tried to use a light brush, but as you can see, a couple spots went a little bit darker. And then I did use my hair dryer on a cool heat setting to just dry that so that I could go back over it again. Like I said, I do that a lot. Especially because I'm trying to get my videos done. And then I'm doing a little bit of dry brushing with the white just to soften up some of the spots that it went a little bit heavy. But I like that it's not all exactly the same. And that's it for that one. We'll show you the finished, I will be showing you the finished product at the end. So this cutting board, I'm going to just explain a little bit. This is one of those plastic cutting boards from the Dollar Tree. They come, I've seen them in white and red. And when I first started this DIY, this was for another video and I never ended up finishing it, but I thought I saved the footage and I can't find it. So I'm going to just tell you what was done up until this point. It's one of the white ones, and I went over it. I think I started with Mod Podge and then did the antique wax because I was going to kind of go for a faux wood look for the other project, but by the time I got to what we were doing here, I changed my mind. So I'm now going over it with Mod Podge because I want to paint it, and I didn't know how well the paint would work on the antique wax. So if I hadn't started this for another project, I probably would have just gone in with some white paint and then distressed it maybe with some brown paint. But I'm just showing you this because this is the reality of DIYing. Sometimes I change my mind on what I'm doing. So I'm going in with the acrylic white paint, and I wanted to do a heavy dry brush, I guess. I wanted to do, I guess it's a full coat, but I didn't mind some of the brown showing through. Sorry for the lighting here. Eventually I closed the blinds, plus this video was done in various portions, so you'll see the lighting change back and forth because I put all of the clips for each project together. Anyway, so I'm going to do this on both sides, just so it looks the same on both sides, even though one side will be pretty much only one side will be displayed. So that is the finished product, well, finished paint job. And then I've got these rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree, and the whole sheet would really just fit on the cutting board if I wanted, but there's some words in there like and, the, for, just kind of random places, and a couple of the images that I didn't really want to include on this. I've seen a lot of people just do the whole sheet on projects and it looks great and you probably don't even notice. I had to switch out and get some smaller scissors to make it easier. But for me, it would have bothered me seeing those random words in there. So I cut them out and I'll save them and maybe I can use them in the future. But for the most part, there's some of the ones I cut out. But for the most part, this whole transfer fit on this cutting board. And I'm just going to do it kind of in sections because I'm cutting out parts of it. And rub-on transfers vary. Depending on the surface you're putting them on. The paint, that was another reason for needing to paint it. You can't really do this over antique wax. Plus it wouldn't have shown up as well. But I'm using my thumb or my fingernail, then I'm using this tool, and then I use the end of the scissors, and then I think I use the end of a paintbrush. And then I end up with like a scraping tool, which is like from Dollar Tree that is supposed to be like a makeshift like Cricut tool. Some transfers transfer super easy, but like I said, it depends on the surface you're doing it with, what you're using to scratch it with. At this point, I was just trying to use what I had in front of me instead of getting up and walking to my closet. Lazy, I know. So it wasn't hard, but it did take a little bit more effort than other transfers I've used. And the key is to just make sure you pull it up a little bit at a time so you can go back down if you need to apply more pressure to an area. This was a little bit too wide on the edges, so that's why you can kind of see some still on the plastic transfer sheet. So for the top portion, I decided to cut off some of the sides just to make it all fit better. But we're going to transfer the whole thing, and then I use some of the pieces I've cut out to fill in any gaps just to make it all covered. But this is a really fun transfer. It's a little Farmhouse deal, but they've got lots of different ones. And I kind of want to order some online because I've seen some other people use some really, really pretty ones. But so far, I've only used the ones from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to go in and seal this with the dishwasher Mod Podge because I am going to be placing this in my kitchen. So I figure it'll just clean up a little bit easier if I get food on it or water on it or whatever. I'm obviously not going to be using it to like cook with or anything, but it will be in my kitchen. So I'm going to give it a couple coats of the Mod Podge and I will do the front and back. I think the back I only did one coat. The key with Mod Podge is to remember that it's like a glue. So if you brush your paintbrush over it over and over again, you're just going to leave a lot of streaks. So I just did a quick coat, let it dry, and do a second coat. For this next one, I have this Yum sign. This was from the Dollar General. I got it on clearance. I didn't pay very much for it. I don't remember. I think originally it was $4 and I paid probably for sure less than $1. I could have paid like 40 cents for it. But I just thought we'd give it a tiny little bit of a makeover. So I'm using painter's tape. I didn't know how to really measure it because it's not all the letters aren't the same. So I stood it up to make sure it looked straight to me and just put some painter's tape down. And I'm going to, I didn't want it to be equal like dark gray and white. First of all, hang on. Here's the problem with the paint. So it was thick and goopy, hardly any at the bottom. I put in water and then I tried to shake it up and it went everywhere. Probably because there's like crusty bits in the lid, so the lid didn't actually have like a good seal. So when I shook it, it came out. So I tried to use it. It was a little bit too watery. I will either use it as a whitewash or I will toss it. There is some like little chunks in there. So I end up switching to the acrylic paint in a minute, but I really tried to make it work. But I'm going a little bit less with the white, I think is what it is kind of in my head. And we're going to do gray on the bottom. I am painting the edges and the back. The sticker was still on, so I ended up getting some wet paper towel and just soaking the sticker and then scraping it off. I didn't need it perfect in the back, but I did want to just give it a cleaner color white because it was just a little scuffed up all around. So I'm doing the edges and the top of the front in the white, and we're just going to do that. Like I said, I'm having to go in with the acrylic paint, and then we will let that dry. Well, once that's dry, I removed the tape and then reapplied new tape, slightly overlapping the line for the white. I know you can't see it on here, but there was a difference between the white that I painted and the white that the sign came in. And then I'm going to do a couple coats of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant. I was trying really hard not to get any gray paint on the sides, but I did have to go back in and touch up with some white paint and it did take a couple coats of the gray, but just wanted to kind of give you this idea. I've seen these signs, not these signs specifically, but similar things at Dollar Tree. Here I am touching up with the white paint, or like I said, I got this one at Dollar General. And if you find something that you like but you don't love it exactly, it's very easy to make stuff over with some paint. So I was really pleased with how this one came out. And I did decide to give this a coat of the Mod Podge as well, with the dishwasher Mod Podge. If you don't have that, just do a couple coats of the regular. I don't know, I've never really tested the dishwasher stuff as far as how it works with water, but I have it because Plaid sent it to me, and I figure might as well use it. This is going to be in my kitchen, possibly on my stove, so it's likely to get a little dirty. And I thought about doing a color, but I wanted it to be something I could put out anytime I didn't have any seasonal decor, and this matches with my normal decor. So this next one is also a Dollar General flip. I was showing you the one with a little pig on it. I didn't want to DIY that one because I kind of liked it. It said, I think it said, "You're the eggs to my bacon." So I'm just going to redo this one, and I'm going to start by painting the inside with white paint. I'm just using a small angled brush. I am going slow. This is quite a bit sped up, trying to not to get any paint on the wood frame. I thought about trying to pop it out, but I didn't want to mess things up. So I'm just painting it like this, and I did have to do a couple coats to cover that background there. And then I'm pulling out an old calendar. This is, I think, last year's, and I'm picking an image from the back that I thought was really cute for the kitchen. We're going to trim it down, and then it's a little bit too small for the box. Like I don't know, it looks a little too small. And so I end up layering it over some other paper just that I thought was a good, I don't know, that went well, and I'll just kind of frame it a little bit more. So I'm going to cut and trim, and I do actually pull out my paper cutter here because I thought it'd be easier and I would have straighter lines. So I'm just going to keep trimming it down until I have just a nice little border. And I'm just going to use a glue stick to attach this. Some people hesitate to do that. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to use some glue stick, making sure to get all of the edges and the corners and stick that down. And then I'm going to use, I think it's called a brayer by Plaid. This is something they sent to me, and it is very handy just to smooth it out. And I wasn't super worried about wrinkles, but I just wanted to make sure it was going to stick really good. And I'm going to just finish this up by using that glue stick once again to attach this into the sign. And then I'm going to use a little kind of like a rubber squeegee that's also from Plaid to smooth it out. And this worked really good for this piece. I love those little tools from Plaid. If you can, can get them, they're not expensive. I encourage you to do it because it does really help out, even if you're not just using Mod Podge, just for adhesive in general. And so I'm showing you the finished items now. The frame, I just put some scrapbook paper in because I didn't want to include photos of my extended family in there, but it's going to match perfect with my other frames. And then these are the other items. I forgot to show you where I added on this little bow. I think that's from a pack from Hobby Lobby. I thought about wrapping some twine, but I thought the bow with a little button on it was enough. And the cute little sign and the yum sign. I love how they came out. I hope you did as well. Like I said in the beginning, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.